In this review video, we're going to be looking at a decade that is known for tremendous economic prosperity, consumption, prohibition, jazz music, the Red Scare, we've got it all. Join me as we discuss the Roaring Twenties. Let's get started. We can't talk about the tremendous economy of the 1920s without first addressing the three Republican presidents that will serve in the White House during this period of time. Warren G. Harding, elected in 1920, promised a return to normalcy after the upheaval of World War I. His administration aimed to restore stability and prosperity to the nation, though it was marred by corruption scandals such as the infamous Teapot Dome scandal. Following Harding's unexpected death in 1923, Calvin Coolidge assumed the presidency. Coolidge, known for his quiet and conservative demeanor, pursued pro-business policies that contributed to the economic prosperity of the decade. His administration oversaw a period of economic growth and relative peace, earning him a reputation as a steadfast leader. Finally, Herbert Hoover took office in 1929, promising continued prosperity. However, his presidency was quickly overshadowed by the Great Depression, ultimately defining his time in office. Collectively, these three presidents led the country through a period of profound change, laying the groundwork for decades to come. The 1920s witnessed a rise of a consumer economy fueled by technological advancements, mass production, and a changing social climate. With the end of World War I, industrialization boomed, leading to an increased efficiency in manufacturing processes. Henry Ford's introduction of the assembly line technique revolutionized production, making goods more affordable and accessible to the masses. This era saw the widespread adoption of consumer goods such as automobiles, radios, vacuum cleaners, and electrical appliances, which previously had been viewed as luxury items. The installment plan, allowing consumers to buy now and pay later, further fueled consumption. Advertising also played a pivotal role in promoting a culture of consumerism, encouraging individuals to embrace new lifestyles and keep pace with the latest trends. The prosperity of the 1920s created a society increasingly defined by materialism and consumption, setting the stage for the economic and cultural transformations of the modern era. Technological advancements like Charles Lindbergh's solo transatlantic flight and his plane The Spirit of St. Louis captured the world's imagination, opening doors for innovators to provide the first Atlantic commercial flight just one decade later. In this decade, the radio is going to emerge as a major medium. It's going to change how Americans communicate and entertain themselves on a massive scale. Its ability to broadcast news, music, and live events allowed for unprecedented access to information and cultural experiences, shaping public discourse and connecting people across vast distances. The widespread adoption of radio technology not only fueled the growth of mass media, but it also played a crucial role in shaping the collective consciousness of the era, influencing everything from politics to popular culture. But alongside the prosperity came challenges. Farmers continued to face financial issues. Racial issues persisted. African Americans and other minority groups faced discrimination and segregation, inspiring movements for civil rights, led by guys like W.E.B. Du Bois, which we talked about in the previous video, and Marcus Garvey. Garvey in particular played a significant role in advocating for African American empowerment and pride. His Back to Africa movement aimed at promoting black nationalism and self-sufficiency, and it resonated with many African Americans and left a lasting impact on the civil rights movement. Meanwhile, culturally, the 1920s witnessed the vibrant Harlem Renaissance, a flowering of African American art, literature, and music. Jazz, born in the streets of New Orleans, swept the nation with artists like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, and Billie Holiday leading the way. In New York City's Tin Pan Alley, songwriters churned out hits that defined the era, while the Great Migration brought African Americans from the South to the northern cities in search of opportunity and freedom. The 1920s also saw a seismic shift in fashion and culture, epitomized by the flapper style. Flappers, embodying a newfound sense of independence and rebellion, rejected traditional norms with their daringly short dresses, menswear-inspired suits, and their flamboyant accessories. This era marked a departure from the constricting attire of the past as women embraced freedom of movement and self-expression. But amidst the cultural renaissance, a sense of disillusionment gripped many Americans, leading to the emergence of the lost generation. Writers like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway captured the spirit of this generation, reflecting on the loss and trauma of World War I. The Scopes Monkey trial, also known as the State of Tennessee versus John Scopes, was a landmark legal case in 1925 that centered around the teaching of evolution in public schools. John Scopes, a high school biology teacher in Dayton, Tennessee, was accused of violating the Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of any theory that denied the biblical account of divine creation. The trial garnered significant national attention, pitting the prosecution led by William Jennings Bryan, a prominent Christian fundamentalist, against the defense, which included famed attorney Clarence Darrow. Although Scopes was found guilty and fined, the trial highlighted the clash between religious fundamentalism and modern scientific thought, leaving a lasting impact on the debate over the role of evolution in education. In the 1920s, we're also going to see the rise of the Red Scare, and this is in response to the Bolsheviks taking over in Russia. Many Americans are fearful that communists and anarchists are going to try to do the same thing right here in the United States. In response to terrorist activity by anarchists like the bombing of Wall Street in 1920 and several mail bomb attacks, including the home of Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer, the government launched the Palmer Raids, targeting suspected radicals and immigrants with deportation and arrest. The raids fueled fear and paranoia, further dividing the nation. The tensions of the era culminated in the controversial trial of Sacco and Vanzetti, two Italian immigrants and anarchists accused of murder. Despite doubts about their guilt, the men were convicted and executed, sparking protests and debates over justice and immigration. The Red Scare will also lead to legislation restricting immigration from certain parts of the world. The immigration quota of 1921 and the Immigration Act of 24, also known as the Johnson-Reed Act, aimed to restrict the influx of immigrants, particularly from Southern and Eastern Europe as well as Asia. These laws established strict quotas based on nationality, limiting the number of immigrants allowed into the country each year. The quotas were based on the percentage of each nationality already present in the United States according to the 1890 census. Obviously, that's going to favor immigrants from Western and Northern European countries because there weren't very many Southern and Eastern European immigrants prior to 1890. These acts reflected nativist sentiments prevalent in American society at the time and had significant long-term consequences for immigration patterns and demographics in the United States. Finally, debates over the rights of American Indians underscored the complexities of American citizenship and identity during this period of rapid change. The Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, also known as the Snyder Act, was a significant piece of legislation that granted citizenship to Native Americans born within the territorial limits of the United States. Before this act, Native Americans were not considered citizens, despite being born on American soil. The passage of this act was a crucial step towards recognizing the rights and sovereignty of Native American tribes within the United States. It marked a milestone in the ongoing struggle for civil rights and equality for indigenous peoples, affirming their status as citizens with the same rights and protections under the law as other Americans. The Indian Citizenship Act of 1924 not only granted citizenship, but it also symbolized a shift in government policy toward recognizing the inherent right and dignity of Native American communities. That's all the time we have for today. If you liked the video, click below. Also subscribe to our channel. And if you know someone who would benefit from this video, someone who is getting ready to take their end of the year test, please share this with them so that we can help as many people as we possibly can. We'll see you next time.